Hello, my name is Dhanesh.
Hello, my name is Dashineshwar and I'm from Computer Science.
Hi guys, my name is Naveenissh.
Hello, I'm Varma from Computer Science.
Hi, my name is Harikesh Rau from Group F, and the title of this presentation is Awareness and Perception of Engineering Students at UTP about the effects of climate change on human health. First of all, why is this survey important? It's because the past studies have always been talking about the effects of climate change on human health and whom does it affect a lot. Kazakh studied about the effect of climate change on human health but did not focus on the perception of youth regarding this issue. It is important to know the group of people that encounters major effects of climate change and the perception of youth on the effect of climate change on human health because they are the future of the country. The aim of this survey is to determine the level of awareness and perception of engineering students at UTP about the effects of climate change on human health.
Now, I will be talking about the problem statement. The number of studies that focuses on the perspective of students on climate change effects to human health is very less, and it should be spoken about more. The perception of the youth regarding this issue is vital as they are the future leaders of the country. Besides, the societal awareness regarding climate change's issues is not developed and it may lead to severe problems on a long-term view. The method of preventing the severity of this issue is more important than only acknowledging this issue. Finally, the involvement of the youth in fighting climate changes will lead to the establishment of significant climate actions, which is in parallel to the 13th Sustainable Development Goal. Now, moving on to the research objectives. The first objective is to identify what are the perception of UTP students regarding the effect of climate changes to human health. The next objective is analyzing the awareness level of UTP students regarding this issue. And the final objective is to implement methods that could be carried out to increase the awareness level among the students in UTP. Moving on to the inquiry questions. Here, the awareness level of the engineering students in UTP regarding climate change's effect to human health is questioned. Then, the impact of climate changes to human health from the perspective of the students is questioned. Finally, the effectiveness of the awareness given to students to overcome this issue is questioned.
Methodology. Firstly, we gathered the evidence and the data from articles regarding this topic, but there was a gap which was not discussed about the opinion and perception of youth on the effect of climate change on human health. So the method that we used for this case study is survey through Google Form. The Google form had survey questionnaire about the effect of climate change on human health. A sample of 50 UTP engineering students was chosen as a respondents for the survey questionnaire. The data and result from this survey was analyzed through Microsoft Excel software and manually. All the findings were stated and discussed thoroughly. As part of discussion, the data analysis was carried out. Both descriptive analysis and inferential analysis were carried out to analyze the data. Descriptive analysis divided into measures of central tendency and measures of variability. Measures of central tendency are mode, mean and median, while measures of variability are variance, standard deviation, first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, and interquartile range. These measures of variability were used to construct a box plot. As inferential analysis, hypothesis testing was carried out to determine the validity of the hypothesis formed. Two tests were carried out to confirm the validity of each other test conclusion. Z test was carried out and followed by a p-value test to confirm the validity of the conclusion obtained in Z test. Finally, the conclusion was drawn based on the analysis of the data.
We will be moving on to findings. So the first pie chart shows the demographic age of respondents with the maximum of 38% consisting of age group from 21 to 23, and the minimum of 26%, which consists of age group from 24 to 26. So the second question, the pie chart shows the respondents of various engineering programs in UTP. The third question shows the pie chart of demographic gender of the respondents, which the maximum is 56% of female respondents and the minimum, which is 44% of male respondents, and the minimum of 44% of male respondents. In the fourth question, in your opinion, what do you think is more vulnerable in terms of health and climate change? The maximum of 50% of the respondents chose elderly and the minimum of 18% of the respondents chose adult. In the fifth question, are you aware of the impact of climate change on your health? The maximum of 70% of the respondents chose yes, and the minimum of 14% of the respondents chose no. In the sixth question, what do you think is the main effect of climate change on human health? The maximum of 78% of the respondents chose increasing concentration of greenhouse gases and raising temperature increases cases of skin cancer and skin disease. The minimum of 8% of the respondents chose higher temperature increases population of disease-causing vectors like mosquitoes. In the seventh question, are you concerned about the effect of climate change on your own health and others? The maximum of 84% of the respondents chose yes, and the minimum of 4% of the respondents chose no. In the eighth question, what is your awareness level in reducing effect of climate change? The bar chart shows the response of the respondents. The data from the bar chart is then transferred into tabulation for descriptive analysis. So the measures of central tendency shows that mode is 5, median is 4, and the mean is 3.66. And in the measures of variability, the variance is 1.6576, the standard deviation is 1.2875, and the first quartile is 3, and the third quartile is 5, and the interquartile range is 2. By using the measures of variability, a box plot is then created. So in the ninth question, what do you think can be done to overcome the effect of climate change on human health? The maximum of 86% of the respondents chose conduct of awareness and education campaign, and the minimum of 6% of the respondents chose birth control and family planning lesson production of waste and greenhouse gases. In the 10th question, do you think we are doing enough to fight the effect of climate change on human health? And the maximum of 54% of the respondents chose no, and the minimum of 18% of the respondents chose yes.
We are moving on to discussion now. We have segregated our study questions according to corresponding to its own research questions 1, 2, and 3. First, we are starting with research question 1. Now corresponding to research question 1, our first question in the survey is, are you aware of the impact of climate change on human health? You can see that 70%, which is 8 students, have responded to yes, and 14%, which is 7 students, has responded to no. Although majority of the students have responded to yes, we still have the minority, which is 7 students, are not aware of the impact of climate change on human health. It is our responsibility to focus on the students that are not concerned and not aware, because as a youth and as an adult, we have to be concerned our health, our body health, because we need a proper functioning body to lead the people around us and to lead the world, to our country and everything, and in a certain workplace or certain university or club or event, because human health plays a vital role in our daily life. And as evidence for this, we have our second question, which corresponds to research question 1, which is the awareness level in reducing the effects of climate change. We have extracted the data from this bar chart into a table, as we have seen in findings and descriptive analysis. As we can see, the X is the level of awareness, which corresponds to its own number of respondents to its own level of awareness. You can see that the highest level of awareness, which is 5, is the highest number of response. Although there are fewer responses in the lower level of awareness. We have extracted the measures of central tendency, which is both median and mean, and measures of variability, which is variance and deviation first quartile, third quartile, and interquartile range, which we used as a differential analysis to do the hypothesis testing to show whether UTP engineering students are really aware of the effects of climate change on human health, based on the data we gained in this question. From the data obtained in Table 1 and sensitivity analytics, the following details are selected to be used in hypothesis testing, and the value of significance level alpha was assumed as 0.01. Two tests were carried out to confirm the validity of each other's test conclusion. Z-test was carried out and followed by a p-value test to confirm the validity of the conclusion obtained in Z-test. The values that are extracted from descriptive analysis are sample mean, which is 3.66, total number of sample n, which is 50, and standard deviation s, which is 1.2875. We have done a Z-test with null hypothesis of engineering students of UTP are highly aware of the impacts of climate change on human health, which indicates the mean equals to 5. And the alternative hypothesis will be engineering students of UTP are not highly aware of the impacts of climate change on human health, which mu is not equal to 5. Since it is a two-tailed test, the Z value for critical was found and it is 2.58, and the critical region was determined to reject the null hypothesis. Z-test was carried out with the formula, and we have found the value negative 7.36, and this value was compared with the critical value, which is negative 2.58. Since Z negative 7.36 falls in the critical region, which is Z less than equals to negative 2.58, we reject H null. And it clearly shows that engineering students of UTP are not highly aware of the impact of climate change on human health. And as to confirm the validity of the Z-test, a p-value test was carried out with the same value of significance level. As we can see, the p-value that we have calculated in this was 0, and 0 is less than the significance level, and hence we had to reject H null. And again, we have got to prove that engineering students of UTP are again not highly aware of the impacts of climate change on human health. And the third question that corresponds to the research question 1 is, are you concerned about the effects of climate change on your own health and others? As you can see, 84%, which is 42 students, are aware, and there are still 4%, which is 2 students, are not aware. This is very serious because, as we mentioned before, our health is very important to make sure that our body functions properly, so that we can do our daily tasks as our work, our studies, and everything properly, and as a fully functional human. So we have to be truly concerned about this, and this is really an evidence that the UTP students, which is in our sample, is not fully aware of the effect of climate change on human health. Next, we are moving on to research question 2. Research question 2 has 2 questions that correspond in our survey question. And the first question is, what do you think is the main effect of climate change on human health? Although there are 78%, which is 39 students, responded to the correct and accurate answer, which is increasing concentration of greenhouse gases and raising temperature increases cases of skin cancer and skin diseases. There are still 14%, which is 7 students have chosen the wrong and inappropriate answer and unrelatable to the climate change on human health, which is causes freshwater contamination and pollution, which clearly shows that UTP students, UTP engineering students are not highly and fully aware of this engineering issue. And the second question that responds to the research question 2 is, in your opinion, what do you think? Who do you think is more vulnerable in terms of health or climate change? We can see that 50%, which is 25 students, have chosen elderly, 18%, which is 9 students, have chosen adult, and 32%, which is 16 students, have chosen children. According to recent studies and articles that we have done in literature review, they have shown that the most vulnerable people and group in terms of health or climate change are elderly, because as we grow older, our immune system weakens and it is easier for pathogens and diseases to attack our body easily and causing us to fall in illness easily. Adults and children are less risky compared to elderly people, And we can see clearly that half of the students are not aware of this issue. And it is another evidence to show that the degree students are not aware of this issue. Corresponding to research question 3, we have 2 questions in our survey question. The first question will be, what do you think can be done to overcome the effects of climate change on human health? We can see that 86%, which is 43 students, have responded to the correct and the most effective answer, which is conducting an awareness and education campaign. But still, we can see that there are 6%, which is 3 students, have chosen an undebatable and wrong answer, which is birth control and family planning. As we can see that although the majority of students are aware, there are still a small group of students or people that are not aware of this issue at all. As authorities and the universities and the government has to take actions so that people generally will learn about this issue, about this topic, so that they will be knowledgeable and they can take their own actions to overcome this issue. And the last question relating to research question 3 will be, do you think we are doing enough to fight the effects of climate change on human health? We can see that 54%, which is 27 students, have chosen no, and 28%, which is 14 students, have chosen maybe, and there's a only tiny small percentage, which is 18%, have chosen yes, which is 9 students. We can clearly see that students have known that we are not doing enough to fight the effects of climate change on human health, which is very important and vital because the effects of climate change has been drastic all around the world, and it has been affecting our own health, which is a big step for us to overcome, because health is very important to our body, because we need a properly functioning body to do our daily tasks in our work and as a students in our studies. So it is very important for the authorities and the universities and the government to take proper actions to create awareness among the students as a youth and adult, because as a youth generation we are going to lead the world and lead the people. Hence, we have to be knowledgeable about serious issues that can be a bigger issue in the following 10 or 20 years. It is very important because we, as the students of this decade, will be the leader in the following years. Hence, as a youth, we have to be concerned of this issue and have to take proper actions. As we can see that through this inferential analysis, UTP engineering students are not highly aware of the effects of climate change on human health. Thank you everyone.